What is going on, everyone? It's your guy, Cole Jackson, back with an episode of The Film Room, where we're going to be diving into the left guard battle and doing a film review of Saturday's preseason game against the New Orleans Saints. If you're looking forward to some film being broken down in the trenches, go ahead, click that like button, and hit subscribe so you can find your way back for more. We're going to be doing this each week until the end of the preseason, getting ready to see who's going to win this left guard battle. I think at full health, it's the only one up for grabs. If we get Stanley back and Zietler back, Villanueva looks like he's settling in on the right tackle spot. Bozeman looks like he's going to be all right at center. So, this seems to be the highly contested spot. So we're going to get into it each week. If you have any comments on how you want to see these film breakdowns done, now is your time to do it. I'm going to be test running these basically through the preseason, getting ready for regular season, where we're going to be going in the trenches each week. So drop a comment down below, DM me on Twitter. You know where to find me, at Cole Jackson FB. I'm looking for your feedback. And just so you know, when we get into these clips, listen, we don't have normal Game Pass right now. We don't have the all 22 angles. We don't even have the normal video player where I can click slow. And if you guys have watched my clips before, I like to slow it down, break down the technique. Bear with me. We're going to just do what we can do and make the best of it until Game Pass, quite frankly, gets their crap together. So going into the O-line play, it's no surprise. It has been a struggle. But what I want to actually do is take a look at the left guard guys, see who's playing well, see who's not playing well, look at why, look at how it can get better. What are we seeing in terms of progress, development from guys like Phillips, guys like Powers, guys like Bredesen. Start off, let's take a look at the O-line combinations, which were nicely collected by our guy at Yoshi2052, your go-to for all things Ravens analytics and stats related. So we can see Ben Powers played left guard on the first team. Makari came in second team. Phillips third team. Fourth team was Bredesen, and then Schofield and Sorrell took some snaps later in the game. Now, I guess the big question is, does that mean Patrick Makari is ahead of Tyree Phillips at left guard? I would say no. I think that Tyree Phillips is in a tough spot going into this season, or into this preseason, I should say, because we don't have Stanley back. We don't really have a backup swing tackle. We thought that might have been Phillips. He doesn't quite look the part there. So I think he's playing left guard out of necessity here. Unfortunately, I think it didn't really give him a chance to, go against that top competition in this game. And so, we're going to get into what we're looking for moving forward. Now, you're going to notice in this breakdown, why don't I have Patrick Makari in it? This, people may disagree with me. That's fine. If you disagree, drop a comment below and let me know what you're thinking. But I don't think Patrick Makari is in this battle. I think this is a battle between Tyree Phillips, Ben Powers, Ben Cleveland, and Ben Bredesen. Bredesen obviously is not likely to win it, but I wanted to show some of his clips. So we're going to look at Powers, we're going to look at Phillips, and we're going to look at Bredesen going into this. So let's jump right into the film. We are going to start with Ben Powers. So, a little bit of a summary here on Powers. I personally thought he had some pretty poor play strength. He had a really, really rough go out there, a very poor anchor, very poor core strength. We're going to start taking a look at two pass plays at left guard only, which, as you saw before, he didn't play that many snaps. Very poor snap. So let's start with the first one. I'm going to run the clip through. We'll go back and take a look, and we'll kind of break it down, see what happens. So, here he is at left guard. He gets jacked. He ends up on the ground. The ball comes out. This ends up being a flag here on Jalen Moore. All good there. But let's take a look. So what's going to happen here is 22 is going to come down. That's going to turn this from a 4-man line into a 5-man line. So we have a 5-man rush against 5-man protection. As he does, that means Phillips is going to have to kick out to take on Gardner Johnson. And that means Powers is going to have to kick slide out to the 6 tech or 7 tech. It's obviously, like I've said, hard to tell from not having the all 22 angle, but he's essentially going to have to kick out and take on the D end. So I think what we can see is happening here is when he comes downhill, when 22 comes downhill and Powers has to get prepared for this, I think gets worried about the speed and the defensive end taking him on the inside. So As we're going to see here, he looks it. He's reading his man. He makes the right diagnosis. Everybody's got their guy here. But what happens is right here, you can kind of see it. He is way too far back on his heels. And what happens is rather than trying to get bent outside, he gets attacked on his inside shoulder. Now, because he has such a poor base here, he has no anchor. And so when he is too far back on his heels going into the set, that's what happens is he just gets, pile drived into the ground. And so, this isn't what you want to see out of a first team guy. This is a pretty simple adjustment. The Ravens do this to teams all the time, and you just have to be able to, recognize the blitz. It's a slot blitz. This was out of their nickel defense. The linebackers weren't even showing. It's not like he had to read much. This is just poor technique. He needs to, be much more up on his toes here, not too far back. Like this is, and he just ends up in the ground. Ball comes out. So, the ball came out. The question is, and this is something we're going to be looking at a little bit in this series is, would we call this a pressure? And, technically the ball came out and the QB wasn't affected. That's probably a completion if there is an interference. Now, again, because we don't have all 22, we can't exactly see what happens here. But, the ball came out. So I don't know if it necessarily matters if it's a pressure, but that's a bad rep. That's a very bad rep. If McSorley had to go through his progressions, he's in the ground. You can see him right there. He's right on the quarterback. So, not a good start. This came later in the game. The next clip we're going to take a look at was a little bit earlier. And it's the same thing here. We're looking at another pass play. Switched here. So yeah, this was earlier again on third down. And we'll talk about that a little bit when I wrap up the pass play, but similar concept here. Let's run it through. So this is a draw. And so people may be wondering, I know I didn't know if this was necessarily a QB draw because you'll notice all the receivers are running routes and even the running back runs routes. You can go on my Twitter and see it. Me and Michael Crawford at A Bukhari took a look. This is very similar to a play they ran in 2019 against the Seattle Seahawks. It is most likely a draw. But we can still see some similar issues here with Powers. So let's see here. As he comes down, he needs his post step here. If you guys can see the cursor, he needs his post step, his inside foot, to stay ahead of his kick step. And so what he needs to do is he has his head on the right side, where what he's really doing here is dropping his anchor and just kind of holding the block. And if it's a draw, then he knows that ball is coming inside to him. So he needs to hold that inside leverage against the defensive tackle. But what happens here, right here, is he's got his head up and he just throws Powers. And you can see it right here. Look at his right foot. So it goes from being here. That's a pretty good position. If he can hold that, he's probably winning the rep. But he gets and this is core strength to me. He just gets thrown right off balance. And those feet are a mess. You never want to see your inside foot doing that. But he kind of gets tripped up earlier in the rep too, where his feet are, beside each other. He's getting pushed, tries to recover. It's a really bad rep from Powers again. So I think the big issue I have with this is, we need to consider the impact or the, point in the game that some of these plays are happening. Now, of course, both of these plays that I just showed you, poor pass protection on two back-to-back. Well, back-to-back, actually, back-to-back third downs. It's not good. And it's, we want to see these guys doing well in high leverage situations. So, I see these both as play strength issues. It's a poor anchor on the first clip. On the second clip, it's poor core strength where he can't hold his position. And, this is going to kill him when we get into games. If he can't drop his anchor and kind of hold these guys after setting properly on the player, then, it's no bueno, and these pressures are going to come in troves. So we're going to move on, take a look at one of his run blocks that happens. I believe this was right before that third down we just watched. So here we're going to have a combo block between Bozeman and Powers on what I believe is the 3-tech. So what we want to see, this is an inside zone to the left. Ideally what we have is Powers, securing that inside shoulder, Bozeman taking over. This is a combination of poor strength and poor, athleticism. So as he goes through, the two of them can't even get a movement. So again, I'll slow it down here. So like I said, what you'd like to see him is him working through this other shoulder, because ideally what happens is if the left tackle, Tyree Phillips, makes his block, Powers would be passing off to Bozeman and moving into the second level with hopefully a lane. Now, obviously, this block is screwed up by, 92 set the edge. Phillips didn't get any movement on him. But if we isolate in on Powers, this is just another poor block. It's he's on the ground again. He didn't play that many snaps at left guard. He's on the ground twice in these. There's another third time. I didn't include the clip. It's just, it shows really bad form by Powers where he just can't stay up. I think this was a bad block by Bozeman too. You can see him right off he's got to secure that outside shoulder, and he can end up on the ground. Now, you could look at that and say, maybe Bozeman pushed him in there, but, it's just poor technique once again, and it's not stuff that we want to see going into the season. So, it's unfortunate that it looked the way it did. It is what it is. I'm not sure, at least based on game one, it's all we've been privy to seeing. I don't think he's the answer at left guard. And we're going to bring in Phillips. So this came, later in, it's probably the Saints going into their second, third team defense. So the competition isn't quite the same, but we can take a look and see some similarities in the assignments and see what Phillips did that was different and why I think Phillips might have outdueled him here in the first bit. So we're going to start off with a run play. It's an inside zone to the right on this one. Let's run the play through. Or inside zone to the left, sorry. Okay. So he ends up on the ground here. He basically got rolled up on. I'm not going to hold that against him too much. So, let's take a look at what I didn't like about this play from Phillips. So he's going to take his man head on, and he's basically just going to drive him. So what I don't like here is he ends up a little high, but the difference is when he comes up high, he has such a powerful grip on the shoulder plates of down at the chest, not his shoulder plates, his chest plate, that he's going to bring him up with him. And then what he does is he just drives him. And so if everything kind of goes right on the inside here, and I think he's driving him a few yards and he's kind of making that lead block. It's this play is supposed to be run behind him. So what really goes wrong is on the backside here. We're going to see Cologne here move into the will. We're going to see the Mike linebacker come down and fill that gap. He reads it really well. We're going to see number 90 here, the defensive end. We're going to see him hold the edge really well. I thought he did a great job on this play. And what really is the failure is Bredesen here, who's playing right guard, is he needs to win that block on the inside shoulder. He needs to work inside shoulder, and Powers comes down, and this is a deuce block by these two. So he should be passing him off to Powers, working inside and getting hands on the Mike linebacker. But you can see right here, he ends up, it ends up all messy. He can't get off of him. He's trying to drive. The Mike comes down, fills in. He ends up, filling that gap, forcing outside because 90 held such great contain. It just eats up the run. And Cologne, I thought, did a good job here. You'll see Cologne move right into the will. He attacks the right shoulder. That's sealed right there. If Bredesen can make that block, that combination block and get into level 2 against that Mike, this might have worked to the left side. But, it ends up, that defensive tackle did a nice job of dropping his anchor, forcing Hill to cut back into the edge that's just sitting there and contained, and he just eats it up. So, nice work there. What I like by Tyree Phillips here, the biggest issue I had with his run blocking last year is he would fly out with his shoulders over his toes, and he was basically leaning and lunging. So what he does here is he shows really nice patience. Again, I think he gets a little bit too high going into the run block, but he's out there, he gets his hands out, he extends, he controls, he even works him outside, which is away from the play, which gives that kind of gap. Again, if Bredesen in this clip is on the left side, taking on that Mike, maybe a gap forms itself there. I think the defensive tackle did a really good job. The Mike filled it well. the defensive end held contained. Credit the Saints for making a play, but kudos to Phillips there. That shows me some development. That shows that he's being a little bit more patient coming out of his shoot in terms of his body posture, and he's getting his hands on a guy. And I've heard guys like Spencer Schultz talk about this at camp. When he gets his hands on a guy, he's winning these reps, and he's just so powerful. Now we're going to take a look at a couple of pulls from Phillips, and we know the pulls the Ravens like to call in their power right. We're going to look at 2 power rights here, and an interesting theme that emerges in terms of how this play gets messed up. I was looking for solid pulls from the left guard, but we're going to notice here. Well, let's run it through. So there's Phillips. He's going to pull right. And so see Oliver there? So this is what I wanted to point out, because, this is an ugly looking pull. And I think we can take a look at Phillips individually. But, we need our tight end on this power, because it's the right side. On a power right, it's the right side of the line's job to block down this line and kind of clear them off so that the pull can come in, hit level 2, and that's what springs the run. That's, we saw that in 2019. It worked so many times. It was one of the Ravens' best concepts. But Oliver doesn't get any move off the defensive end here, and he's just, straight up in Phillips's way. So, that's a tough play. I think if you're looking at Phillips's pull here in a vacuum, I think he comes out a little high. You're going to notice me talk about his pad level. I think that was still a little bit of an issue. But what I like here is how he recovers. Watch on the mic. See, he jolts him. And so, this is a tough play. I think he recovered pretty well. Again, ideally, Oliver's driving this guy off the line. And, I want to give a shout out to Tylan Wallace here. He comes down on the, I believe that's a slot cornerback. If we go back to the start of the play. Or maybe another linebacker. I don't know if it's a linebacker or safety that came down. But look at this seal block. Boom. It's Gardner Johnson. He seals him right into oblivion. So if Oliver, 84 here, got some movement on this guy, Tyree Phillips is hitting this block clean. Maybe this is just, run has sprung a little bit. But, I'll give Phillips, again, it shows some power in his hands. Watch him, boom, jolt. So, I'll give Phillips credit for the recovery, but, this was a consistent problem, was our tight ends getting movement. And I think it really speaks, you guys know this is a Nick Boyle friendly podcast, and that really speaks to, how much he's missed in a play like this. So again, let's watch it one more time. I can't get over his upper body strength. So overall, a messy play, but credit Phillips for recovering. But I think this was a little bit sloppy in terms of his footwork and his speed on the pull. So we're going to take a look at another one that they ran. This was only a couple plays later. And get another high leverage play, 3rd and 1. They're just looking for a yard. Let's watch it through. So now who's in the way? It's 85, Eric Tomlinson, another tight end. So again, watch Tomlinson here. Same idea. Right side of the line is going to block down towards the wide side of the field. Phillips pulls behind. 85's in the way. It's just, this is the stuff that you don't see as often with Nick Boyle in there. He doesn't allow it to happen. And this is one where, ironically, on the last play, we saw Phillips with a bit of an ugly pull, come out a little slow, come out a little high, but recover really well to an obstructed pull path. On this play, it's kind of the opposite, where I think he pulled out really well. He got down the line quickly, but he couldn't recover as well. And 85's right in his way. And this is that same Mike linebacker that he jolted, and he comes down and he fills well. That's a really good run fit by him. And it isn't him that makes the play, or no, he does make the play on this one. It's a different note. Again, if 85 gets some movement here on that inside shoulder, you can see right here, he's going to have a good chance at, hitting that run block and, trying to spring this. But he ends up, his body's twisted. There's not much he can do. But go back to the start, watch him pull out here. See how he's out quick. He's pretty low here relative to his size, but 85's in the way. So, That's 2 tough blocks for him. We're going to see a pull from Bredesen in the next couple of clips where he does a lot better because, the tight end actually gets movement off the line. So, I think you can look at this, a couple of ways. He's showing inconsistent ability to pull in terms of the actual pull itself. But I thought he showed really good processing on both of these. He's getting upfield and he's reading well because he's supposed to read inside to outside. So he's looking for that Mike linebacker. That's typically his guy. And I think he did a really nice job there. Now, moving on, we're going to wrap up Phillips here with a pass protection clip. This one really stood out to me. His biggest issue at offensive tackle has been dealing with space. And you can see it if you watch his left tackle clips. He gives a huge runway or a huge amount of space, and then he can't really adjust his body to it. I don't think he has quick enough feet. I think he's too worried about speed. He gets playing on his heels, and that's what hurts him. So ideally for Tyree Phillips, who we just saw in the last couple of plays, he has strong hands. He has a strong anchor. So the best thing to see from him in pass protection is to get his hands on a guy right away. So we're going to see it here. He's going to quick set on the defensive tackle and watch him just, he just manhandles him. Watch it through. So let's go back here. Missed that. That should have been 6. So obviously the broadcast. Okay, so here we're right at the start, right at the snap. So he's going to set on this defensive tackle. See how he gets right out on him, gets his hands on him, sits back. You can see him. He's controlling that upper body there. Now, I think you could look at this and maybe say he's a little high. He's a little high, but it's a similar thing to that first run block where he had that drive block. When he's standing up, he has that lower chest plate in control. And so what he does is he naturally stands up the defender and controls the leverage. And so that's what you want to see. And then he just drops anchor. This guy's going nowhere. If Makari has a little bit of a tough time here on a left tackle, but if he ever needed to step up there, that's a clear as daylight. This is just a missed throw. Unfortunate. Heck of a route there. But, this is something that stood out to me last year with Tyree Phillips is when he was able to get his hands on even some of the top guys he played in the early weeks as a right guard. I'm talking about Fletcher Cox. I thought he did pretty well against him in pass protection. But as long as he gets his hands on the guy, he is able to control the rep with his upper body strength. And let's watch it one more time. That's just good work. And so, looking at Tyree Phillips in, left guard, if he's able to do that, he's going to win quite a bit, even, against the top guys. So, I think he showed good progress here. He uses his feet well, gets set, gets on the guy, wins the rep easy. Now let's go and take a look at Ben Bredesen. So Bredesen came in later. Context here needs to be, this is against the other team's third team. So some of them even fourth team guys that may not even be around this week. So, you need to factor in the competition level. Bredesen, we didn't get to see much in 2020 from the simple fact that there was no preseason. We didn't get this chance to see third team, fourth team guys. We didn't get to see him in meaningful snaps, a couple of 6-0 line snaps here and there. He was okay. I mean, again, it's not a sample to really give you much analysis, but, he did okay. And so I thought he looked pretty solid in this game. He had a few dicey run blocks. His pass protection looked solid. He had a really nice mixture of quick sets that he mixed in with 45-degree sets. And so that was something that really stood out to me because his college football film, he was a technician. It was all about, him playing these chess matches with the other defensive tackles that he's going against. And he did a really good job in this game of mixing up his sets to, be at an advantage there. So we're going to look at 2 quick sets back to back here because, like I said, he mixed those in quite a bit. And I want to take a look at one that I thought he did poorly and then one that he did well. And so what I want to be very clear about here is he allowed 2 pressures, I believe, in the entire game, and that's over 37 pass snaps. I think one was at left guard, one was at right guard. I'd have to double check my notes, but both of these snaps are at left guard. So I want to be very clear. This first clip where he gets beat, that was not the norm. It wasn't really a good description of how he played, but I want to show you the difference in his technique and how I think he's showing progress as a pass protecting guard. So let's run this through. Oh, wait, this is the run block. Hold on. We're going to come back to this. Okay. Here's the ugly pass set. Okay, so again, he's going to quick set on this guy. And so his man ends up getting hands on the ball there. Andre Smith gets beat too, but that's not really a surprise based on how his game went. So watch. What he does poorly here, we'll watch it again, is when he sets on this guy and he gets his hands on him, he needs his head to be on the inside of the defensive tackle. And he needs that right hand of his to jack up his chest plate to control the inside. Because if he doesn't, that guy's just going to run through his shoulder. And because his head's on the outside, he loses that bit of leverage. It causes that post step to drop back like what we saw from Ben Powers earlier. So, similar concept here. You can see the defensive tackle. He's taking his inside shoulder, and he just runs through him there. So that's not a good set. That's not a good quick set, but let's take a look at one that was really well done. And that was on this play. Similar concept. It's going to be another quick set. So you can see there. He's going to plant his right hand, like I just said, more on the chest plate. His head is going to be on the inside. You can see the defensive tackle try and take the inside, but Bredesen's punch hits up and it kind of keeps him from doing so. Just like that. And see, he just controls the rep. Same idea. It's all about when you're doing those quick sets, it's really about where you place your feet and how you get your hands up. And when you get on a guy early, obviously you might have to hold that block a little bit longer. Whereas if you're giving space, it gives you a little bit more margin for error. But it's so important because they don't have momentum. So it's getting those hands out quick. He does it well there. This right here was a little bit more of the story of him in pass protection, in my opinion. So again, see, good anchor, good technique. You love to see that. And then I'm going to finish with a power run from Bredesen. So again, we want to look at these guys, left guards pulling in power. This is ironic because Phillips, we saw, have 2 obstructed pull pass. That does not happen here, but I think Bredesen looked pretty poor in this rep. So let's watch it through. See how he comes through there. So what I don't like is he looks like a Mack truck trying to get through here. See that? And I think this is a poor diagnosis. So Tomlinson has the block here. It's ugly, but he's out of the way. Bredesen, I think he got around fast enough, and he's reading this Mike linebacker. Like I said, he's going to come around the corner, and he's going to read inside. The Mike linebacker has a nice fit here because he gets to the wide side of the field. And so he needs to read that. And as soon as he comes across, he needs to adjust and attack that outside or inside shoulder. So, but when he gets out there, you can see him right here. He kind of looks up like as if he's going to hug the line up. But I think he didn't read this play well, and he's looking more at the will until he sees the mic, and then he has that recovery there. This is just, some of these will look sloppy, but he drops his head, his butt's up. He's got no power in this, and he just kind of, his guy doesn't make the tackle, but you can see right here, he doesn't make the block. And so, what you'd like to see him is kind of come around the line here, see that guy and attack that shoulder, get low here, start to kind of, get into his engagement point and then drive him. But, I'll give him credit that Mike read that play well. He got into his run fit. But, Bredesen needs to do a better job here. That's a little bit of I'd call that a mixture of both play strength and, or not play strength, play speed and processing. It just wasn't that great. So, again, that was a bad run block. I think he had one blown run block and a drive block, but other than that, he looked pretty good. So, looking at the totality of his plays, I think he had a nice day overall. And so to wrap up, the winner of the left guard head-to-head battle for me has to be Tyree Phillips. I think what I would be doing if I'm the Ravens going into Saturday against the Carolina Panthers is I would be very much looking at playing Phillips at first team left guard. I had a tweet that went out today. The way I would do it, I'm not saying the Ravens are going to do it, but the way I would do it if I was coaching is I would start with Makari at left tackle and right tackle on the first and second team. Yes, I know it might be a little crazy, but hey, Phillips didn't do very well at left tackle anyway. What that allows is for Phillips to work that left guard first team. If Ben Cleveland is healthy, bring him on the second team. I would then bring Ben Bredesen in on the third team, and I would just basically leave Powers at right guard and let him kind of do his work there. I don't think Makari played well. I don't think he earned more snaps. He's a guy that can come in and play literally all 5 positions. He has value. It's not that he's a bad player. I just think they need to give Tyree Phillips a real chance here to seize that left guard spot. And Ben Cleveland needs to be given that chance too. His issue isn't play. It's he's just been hurt. He hasn't been, healthy enough to be able to do it. So that's what I'm recommending is, give Phillips that first chance left guard. It sounds like, Bozeman's going to be healthy enough to play. I would start out with Phillips, Bozeman, and I'd probably throw Powers in there. It's not ideal, but that's what we're working with. You could also, if you want to get a little crazy, throw Bredesen in there as first team right guard and kind of give him that look after having a solid day. I don't think he'll jump up the depth chart that quick, but in my opinion, Bredesen played, even when you're looking at Powers versus their first, second team and Bredesen versus their second, third, fourth team, whoever they had in there on the Saints side, Bredesen played far better. He showed some development. Powers showed regression, which is not what you want to see. Going into his third year now, like that's not what we want to see. So, that's what I'm recommending. What did you guys think? Drop a comment below. Who do you think won the left guard duel in the first game? What do you want to see more of? Hit me up, let me know. So thanks for stopping by. Like I said, we're going to be bringing a couple more of these. And I'm looking for your direction. What do you guys want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? Did the clips work? Like I said, hopefully the video quality will be better when we get normal Game Pass. I got to work with what I got. I'm not in the cool crowd to get that all 22 clips like the big dogs out there, but we made the best out of what we had. So, hit me up with your recommendations. I'm always listening. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.